Welcome to Our Girl Relationships. On this channel, we talk about problems people face in their day to day lives. Let's start with a video.
My brother and I were raised by a single mom whose inclinations toward my brother were so clearly visible that anyone could tell how much she favored him. I am the eldest child, so I was told from the beginning that I needed to be more responsible and well behaved as my younger brother would observe and learn from me. My mom had always been very strict regarding my school, co curricular activities, and grades. I grew up under constant pressure and also had anxiety issues. My mom would always keep an eye on me and never left me alone with myself. She would visit my school regularly and was told that I had to be perfect. My mom would boast about being a single parent, earning for us and bringing us up single handedly. She would tell me that I dared not waste her money by scoring less or skipping any extracurricular activity. And if I was not able to reach her standards of perfection at any time, she would explode and yell and tell me how hard earned her money was, which I ruined by not attaining a position. On the other hand, her behavior with my brother was totally different. She would not even scold him for his wrongdoings. My brother has always been a below average student, a loser at sports, and never even listened to our mom. He would dump his extra classes and go play video games at his friend's house. I told my mom about that once, but all she said was that it was his age. He was a kid and he would get responsible when he grew up. Mom would buy him expensive toys, would buy him whatever he liked to eat, and would not even ask him about his studies or progress. Even if he was ever up to some mischief, my mom would easily forgive him and act like nothing ever happened, but those flexibilities were never for me. My brother grew up into an even more irresponsible guy who would ghost us for days and then would appear out of the blue. Mom would lecture him a bit and he would ask for money and leave right after getting the amount. He did his degree with the least percentage and faced a lot of difficulty in landing a job. As my portfolio was far better, or let us say, forced to be better, it was easy for me to get a job. I moved out of my mom's house as soon as I started earning because our relationship was toxic forever, and I could not take it anymore. My mom did not like the idea and told me that she spent all her earnings on my education and upbringing, and now, when it was my turn to contribute, I was running from my responsibility. I told her that I would be sending her an amount every month, but I could no longer stay with her because I do not need to. I moved out soon after that. My brother did not have a very good job, but still, he never contributed, even while living with our mom. My mom would call me to tell me how spoiled he is and how he would spend his money on his girlfriend but never asked our mom if she needed any help. I would low key tell her that it was all her training and that is why she was facing that. My mother called me one day and told me that my brother had stolen the money she had kept for bills that month, as she refused to give him his girlfriend's birthday presents. I asked her how she was so sure that it was him who took the money, to which she said that he called her and told her not to look for the money as he had taken it. My mom told me that the bills were due and she had nothing to pay. I told her to talk to her son and tell him to come back with the money he had taken. Instead of that, she asked me if I could lend her some money so she could pay the bills. I got furious at once and told her that I was not responsible for it and had already contributed how much I could. I told her to ask her spoiled brat to contribute, who was the apple of her eye, and cut the call. AITA? I'm here with an update, guys, after so long. My brother was all set to marry his girlfriend, but could not afford a wedding. As expected, my mom was ready to bear every type of expense and did not even consider what my brother had done to her so many times and how stressed she would be due to his ruthless actions. She asked me to contribute as well, but I told her that all I could give was the amount I was already contributing, so she should not expect anything else from me. This broke a little fight between us, as she told me that I was the most selfish daughter and meanest sister she had ever seen. I told her that I could easily cut off the ties and stay away from her if I did not deserve to be a part of her prestigious family. She obviously did not cut off, and we all know the reason, but kept on being rude now and then. My brother called me and asked if I could afford his bride's dress, to which I told him that I could only contribute and could not pay the whole amount. We agreed and went gown hunting along with his fiancée. That lady would pick the most expensive attires and would behave like a child. She was simply irritating and would not understand that we had a limited budget. I told my brother that I would leave if they did not act better. The dress was selected and we were going towards our mom's house when on the way my brother's fiancée told me that I could not attend the wedding with my red dyed hair, as it was an all natural and neutral themed wedding. I told her that she should have told me that before buying her wedding dress so I could make sure she attended her wedding in a nightgown. My brother got married and everything went fine, but the real disaster was waiting for us. Only a week or so passed, and my brother told my mother that the couple wanted to move out or live alone in the house as they lacked privacy in her presence. My mom told him that it would be very difficult for him to move out on his own as he did not earn well and could not rent a place. She went on schooling him on how his budget would get tight so he should keep living with her. My brother told her that he never considered moving out, but there was a way, and it was that my mom could simply move in with me and let the couple live in her house. My mom was shocked and hurt, as well as she never expected this from the gem of her life. My mom called me and told me the whole situation, and I was as disgusted as her. I told her that she had to talk to her son or kick him out if he does not understand, as I could not compromise. I told her that there was no chance anyone could move in with me. As I had expected, my mom did not even tell my brother that he could not kick her out of her own house, but kept on convincing me to let her move in with me. I told her that I earned my future and worked hard for it. Why would I share it with someone else? Also, it was her house, and she could even take legal action, but was still not willing to take a stand against her son, because, according to her, where would he go and how would he afford his living? I clearly told her that there was no chance she was moving in with me. My brother called me and told me that I was the worst daughter he had ever heard of. I told him that he should have thought about himself before calling me, as he was the worst human being. I told him that he had always been a loser, and even now he could not afford to move out with his wife, but chose to kick his own mom from her own house. Well, nothing changed, and my mom moved in with me without even trying, and it was clear that she did not even want to try. She was very depressed, as she had expected a lot from her son, who simply turned out to be the worst. As a week or so passed, I told my mom that she had to contribute to the expenses, and I would have loved it if she also paid half of the rent of the apartment we were living in. She told me that she would only contribute a little amount and could not pay half of the rent, as she also had to send some money to my brother. I was shocked to know this. I asked her if she had already granted them the whole house and why she was still willing to send them the money. She told me that we both were her kids and he also had a right to her earnings. I asked if she had any right to her own house or not. My mom adjusted real quick with me. We both would go to work early in the morning. She would return in the afternoon while I came back in the evening, so the dinner was often cooked by her. We would take turns in cleaning the apartment, in the laundry, and in doing the grocery too. It turned out to be better than I thought, as I was not expecting a very peaceful space if it was to be shared between us. Things started to change soon. As my mom got more comfortable, she started acting like she owned the place and began giving directions. She told me that I could not stay up late watching TV, as I had to restore my energy for the next day. I told her that I knew better, as it was my schedule and not hers. She tried to change my breakfast, saying it was not healthier and could be the reason I was getting weaker. She would lecture me about using my phone so much, would complain if I spent longer in the bathroom, and would argue on every little thing. A friend of mine came for a stayover, and we were watching the TV in the lounge when my mom came out of her bedroom and told us to turn off the TV and go to the bedroom. I told her that she had just forgotten that it was my place and not hers. She started her lecture by telling me how I always had been misbehaved, and that was the reason I was still single, because I lacked basic manners. I was shocked and could not speak. She kept on saying that we, me and my friend, both were adults now and had to be more responsible. She told us that staying over at each other's place and wasting our time was not something that she expected from us. I told her that she could pack her stuff and leave right now if she was done with her lecture. She stood amazed when I told her that I could not wait to book a taxi for her, so she should just pack ASAP. She asked what I meant, to which I told her that if she did not shut her mouth and mind her own business, I was going to kick her out of my apartment, and then she could go anywhere she wanted to. She went back to her room and has not interfered since then. NTA, you just took a stand for yourself and did not let anyone ruin your time. You worked hard for this day and deserve to be left alone with your success, as there was no one to appreciate it. Your mom seems like a dictator and also feels like she could not live without having control over everything where she had to live. If she wanted to run a house on her own terms, she could easily fight against her son and could not let him invade it.
Next story.
I, a 48-year-old woman, have 5 kids. My twins are 2 boys, aged 16, and my triplets are 2 boys and a girl, aged 15. Currently, the 16-year-old boys, twins, share a room. The 15-year-old twins have a room, and the single girl has a room. All kids could have their own room, but they chose to share. This year, my boys all came together. They asked if they could all pool their birthday money for a room makeover. They want their beds and clothing to be in one room and desks in the other room for a gamer's paradise, and have been saving last year's birthday presents and have been saving their Christmas money for the last 2 years. I painted their gaming room a dark gray with leftover paint from my parents' Reno, but added LEDs as the main light source on the ceiling and under the desks and in each shelf. Made the closet into a built-in bookshelf for video games and their figurines, and along with wall shelves, added a couple of mini fridges for drinks, a mini snack vending machine, and painted their desks to match. Then they changed their sleeping and clothing arrangement. I did not spend any additional money outside of the budget, and boys all helped with manual labor of moving stuff and painting furniture that my daughter did witness. Now, my daughter is jealous. I didn't do her room as well. We explained that the boys have been saving money and birthday and Christmas presents, and she asked to make a total room makeover plan too, so we did, and it would cost about the same as what the boys did. She wanted all new furniture, along with painting it and crafting set up. I told her if she wanted exactly this room, she would need to contribute XXX amount of dollars, and even came up with a plan if she wanted to do extra chores. All kids get their opportunity. But if she didn't want new furniture, we could repurpose the old stuff we have between storage and what's currently in there, and she could afford it this year. Since people are assuming it's huge amounts of money, overall her room would cost $1,200 with new furniture. Without new furniture and repurposing some of our old stuff, I'm only asking her to contribute $200, which is 1 birthday and 1 Christmas money. The boys bought things for the room with money for the past few years, like the lights 1 year later. I didn't buy the decor. It was all repurposed or built from other things. My husband thinks I'm not being fair to her because there were 4 boys to save money and there's only 1 of her. I said we shouldn't be picking favorites and all kids should be at the same standard. And yes, there's 1 of her, but I didn't buy the boys any new furniture and she wants all new stuff, not renovated. Well, we were doing early Easter at my parents' and my daughter asked Grandpa for money because I wasn't being fair and favored the boys. I stopped that immediately and told my dad the entire story. Now my family is split on the verdict. My mom says I'm the a-hole for the same reason as my husband, but my dad says I'm teaching her a valuable lesson on budgeting and repurposing. So my husband and I, who regularly frequent here, are wondering about AITA for keeping my daughter at the same standard as my boys. My boys have offered to help her repurpose old stuff and even help her purchase the Reno materials, but she wants the new furniture. All the kids have the same hobbies except video games. She'll join her brother on multiplayer when they need a fifth, but otherwise says it's a waste of time. When I asked why she needs new things instead of repurposing, her exact quote was, "It won't look like the TikTok if I repurpose stuff. I need new stuff." YTA, I think your husband makes a good point. 4 people can save up quicker than one and can make 4 times income of one person. It's great that the boys chose to share, but realistically, this isn't a choice for the teenage girl. It's not her fault she isn't a boy and can't therefore share with a boy. With this in mind, I don't agree that she is being treated fairly. I think asking her to save quarter, as each of the boys did, would be reasonable.
Next story.
A few years ago, me, a stupid middle schooler, was living at my dad's, and we've always had decently heated arguments since I first moved in when I was around 6 to 7 years old. Most of the arguments were about my dad talking trash about my biological mom, and I would talk trash about my stepmom. My stepmom always used to place blame on me every chance she got, and my dad was always finding a way to criticize me for things that I wasn't even at fault for. Eventually, I got older and started being a bit more respectful and accepting defeat for trying to stand up for myself and my mother. This all leads up to a big heated argument. This is going to sound stupid, but I was given a guitar for Christmas from my dad, and I kept it next to my bed, which was perfectly organized and not in the way of anything at all. I shared a room with my stepbrother at the time, and he had gotten a PlayStation VR, so my stepmom was setting it up for him. She then commented on my guitar being in the way and unorganized when I had nowhere else to put it. I tried to put it somewhere else, but it wouldn't fit anywhere. I then told her that I couldn't place it anywhere else and it would have to stay where it was. She obviously didn't like that very much and decided to say, "Screw you," which hurt me pretty bad because I've never heard my parents say anything like that before. My dad came home shortly after and started yelling at me, talking trash about my biological mom again. I decided to move out, so he brought me to my grandparents' house, which my biological mom is staying at. He proceeded to say that I was dyslexic and I'm not allowed to be in the family anymore. He then said, "Now that you're out of my house, you're never coming back, and the entire family will no longer want you or have you in our lives." I broke down and hid in the extra room at my grandparents'. Now 15 years old, don't go over to see him due to what he said. He contacts my mother every now and then and blames me for not coming over at all to see him. On my birthday, I decided to try and talk to him again, and I went to his house to show him my birthday present, which was a BB gun. I thought it was pretty cool and talked to him about it, to which he responded by saying, "You don't deserve anything with your grades being so low. You couldn't use the money to buy a tutor or something." I then left, and I don't plan on visiting him regularly anymore because of this. Am I the a-hole for not wanting to see him?